Dear broadcaster friends, welcome back to our broadcast talk. This is episode number 2, where we will talk about radio studio equipment to show you all the equipment you need in your radio studio. If you like our videos, remember to give us a like and subscribe and click the bell to stay updated with all our latest videos. Before we start, let's have a little intro as usual. Right, so let's talk about radio studio equipment, what equipment you need in your radio studio. We already talked about this in our previous video on radio station equipment, but would like to show you some equipment more in detail. In later videos, we're going to show and explore all the articles in greater detail. This is just an overview of everything you need in your radio studio. Let's start with broadcast furniture, broadcast desk. This is a chair, of course. This type of desks are designed specifically for broadcast purposes. So they're not normal desks. They come with racks that you can see here to fit all your broadcast equipment. They're more expensive than normal desks, but that's because they have a special purpose. And they're very resistant. They have an anti-scratch surface, which is durable and will make working comfortable as well as efficient. Then let's mention the mixer, which is the heart of any studio. The mixer is the piece of equipment that will allow you to manage all your audio signals. You will be able to control them, to manage them, and to create effects, such as the fading effect using different faders. Different mixers, they come in different sizes, so each mixer is able to manage a certain amount of audio inputs. The bigger the mixer, of course, the more audio inputs you can manage. This one is kind of a medium-sized mixer. We've got different ones. Let me show you a few more, just to give you an idea of different sizes. This mixer here, for instance, is by the same brand, DM Broadcast. It's much bigger, as you can see, because it can fit more modules. This will allow you, of course, to manage more audio signals, and of course it's much better for studios that have a much bigger project in mind. This one here, on the other hand, is a smaller, more compact type of mixer. This is by AEV Broadcast. It's a very good mixer because it combines quality and, of course, it comes at a cost that is quite affordable compared to bigger mixers made by other brands too. This is a very good solution to start with. It's called BSM Evo, and it's a compact USB mixer. It's a very good quality one and very popular. We've talked about the furniture. As you can see, we've got another desk here. This is a different kind. It's a bit cheaper compared to the one that I showed you earlier, but it's got a different design, and it's a very interesting one. As you can see, it's got this interesting kind of decks where we've installed some equipment. For example, we've installed an audio processor here, and that's quite useful, comes in handy, and enables you to install several pieces of equipment within one desk only. Then Let's talk about microphones. Microphones are the origin of your signal. The speaker's voice is picked up by the microphone and is then carried through to the listener. To do that, you need a good quality microphone that can convey a clear, clean sound. The AKG P120, which is the one we're using now, is a very popular microphone, and it's got a good quality for a good price. To show it to you more in detail, that would be the AKG P120. This is the P220, which has got a few more functions. It also comes with a shock mount included, whereas the P120 does not have that. Those are very good quality microphones, and they're quite affordable, so that's why they're very popular. As I mentioned, with the microphone comes a shock mount. That's very important for the microphone not to pick up any vibrations. While you're speaking, as I'm doing now, I might hit the chair, or, you know, if you just do that, then the microphone will pick that up, and that won't sound very good in your studio. The shock mount is there to make sure that your microphone, the sound is clean, and that your microphone does not pick up all those vibrations that could disturb the sound. As well as the shock mount, there's another piece of equipment which I'll show you now, which is the Popkiller. The Popkiller, as the name says, kills any pop sound. It's basically to protect the microphone both physically and in terms of sound quality. And so shock mount and Popkiller are designed to protect the microphone, as well as ensure a good, clean quality of your audio. And now the AKG P120 and 220 are condenser microphones, which means that they pick up any sound within the environment. They're very sensible, if you like, and sensitive. The Procaster, on the other hand, is a dynamic microphone which works well in a noisy kind of environment. Whereas when you're using these, which are very sensitive, as I said, you'd be better off controlling your environment, so being in a soundproof studio, because they pick up any noise within the environment, and that might disturb your overall sound. Important accessories for the microphones are not only the shock mount and the Popkiller, but also mic stands, such as this one here, which you can just place on top of the desk, and mic arms, such as those, which are more comfortable and convenient because they're extendable. They enable you to adjust the microphone the way you want, and that way you can work and go on with your program much more comfortably. They're really handy and good for working in your studio. This desk here would be a guest desk, as opposed to the other one, which is the director's desk or even the speaker's desk. So just to show you different kinds of desks, this one would be the main one, and that's why it's got the racks. This one doesn't, because it's designed to accommodate your guests. As you can see here, we've got some different types of equipment, which I'll show you in a minute in our website too. We've got some compressors. This is a very popular one by DBX. This is another one by Behringer. We've got Headphone Amplifiers, also called Headphones Distributors. I'll tell you what they're about in a minute. We've got tuners, we've got the Apart one and Power Dynamics, which are very popular brands, and all these are very popular, good, reliable brands. And we've got some speakers which are very important for you to be able to listen clearly to the sound that's being broadcast in your radio. The ones we have here are PreSonus and Behringer, which are both very good quality ones. We've got a lot of equipment here. You can also see some video monitors. When you're providing and assembling equipment for a whole studio, then there's a lot of pieces of equipment that you need. We offer that in our complete packages, which I will show you in our website, to offer a full turnkey solution where you've got everything you need to install, set up, and start with your complete studio. So let's have a look at some of what I've been talking about directly in our website. I'll show you a bit more in detail some of the things I've said. Right. So this is our page dedicated to on-air studio equipment. As you can see, we've got everything I've been talking about. Of course, you will need a computer, such as the one that I'm using now, with a software. It's called radio automation software. Let me just show you what it looks like. This is the automation software. It's a software that allows you to create playlists and manage all your broadcasting in terms of songs, commercials, programs. We'll dedicate a video where we're going to explain in very great detail how this software works, so that you may know how to operate it. As we said, the microphone is the origin where everything starts. We've talked about that. The microphone processor, which I just briefly mentioned, is very important to clean your sound. If you want to have a very clear, clean sound, this is a very important piece of equipment. Sometimes the speaker might raise his voice, or sometimes the voice is too low. The microphone processor will ensure that in those cases the voice is heightened or softened, depending on what the problem is. And in general, it gives you a smoother sound. That's really the objective, what this piece of equipment does for you. The mic arm, as we've seen, headphones. Now, headphones are very important too. Of course, they allow everyone in the studio to listen to what is being said, and the better the quality, the better the sound again. Let me just show you a pair of AKG headphones. That we've got here. Right. So this is a good pair of headphones. As you can see, the quality of the material itself, the leather on the ear pads, for example, is also important. So not just the sound quality is important, the material itself is also important, because when you work in a radio, you have these on perhaps 8 hours a day, maybe more. So the more comfortable they are on your skin, the better you will be able to work with a decent piece of equipment. So that's something to keep in mind, because if you're working in a radio studio, then it's quite important. Okay, going on, the headphone distributor, that's when you have more guests. This piece of equipment will allow you to plug all the headphones into a single source. There are different types of headphone distributors. Of course, some of them allow you to have up to 4 inputs, some others up to 8, depending on the number of guests you have in your studio. Then you'll know what type of headphone distributor you'll need. The mixer, as we've talked about, is really the heart, what allows you to manage and control all the audio signals. This particular one is by Wheatstone, and it's called Air 1, and it's quite a popular and good quality mixer console. The audio processor is also an extremely important piece of equipment. It is normally the last piece of equipment to process, as the name says, your sound before it is broadcast. Therefore, it makes sure your sound is good. It gives you, again, clean, high quality sound, and it enables you to give your sound some character. That's if you want to have a unique sound that makes your radio different from the others that are around you. Speakers, as I've showed you and we've talked about, the telephone hybrid is also another interesting piece of equipment. This is a good piece of equipment if you're planning to have a phone plugged in to your studio, and that will enable you to receive telephone calls, of course. The on-air light, such as the one we've got here, let me show you, just behind me. This one here, and that's for everybody to know when you're live, when you're broadcasting, so everybody in the studio is aware that you're live. Lastly, computer with automation, we've talked about that. The talent panel is a little panel, of course, that guests can use, and that's for them to control their own microphone or headphone. That's an important piece of equipment in the case a guest is about to sneeze or cough. It's very important that they're able to control their own microphone and headphone so that they can just turn it off or exclude their own sound, and that won't disturb the whole program. CD player, it might seem obsolete to have a CD player in your studio nowadays, but it's still a very good idea, mostly in terms of backup. That's a very reliable backup in case something goes wrong. So it's one piece of equipment that we always include in our packages and recommend having because it is quite important when you need it. The tuner is the piece of equipment that allows you to monitor basically the sound that you're broadcasting. So once you're on air, then you can use an FM tuner to actually monitor and control, not control really, but just monitor the sound that you're broadcasting to check that everything is fine. The RDS Encoder is the piece of equipment that allows you, as is written here, to send text and other metadata to the radio display. So it is really this piece of equipment here that enables a radio to show their own name on the display of radios. Not just the name of the radio, but also some information or just the name of a song that they're playing and broadcasting at that particular moment. That's the piece of equipment that makes that possible. Broadcast desk and furniture, as we have mentioned, and to conclude, soundproofing panels, phone wedges, acoustic panels, however you'd like to call them. They just allow you to soundproof your studio so that no disturbing external noises will come in and make your audio, make your sound, so to say, dirty. These allow you to make sure that the environment is safe in terms of sound quality. That's basically what they're for. Now, I've mentioned that we sell complete packages. In these, something I want to show you, we include cables, of course. Just let me show you here some diagrams that we've got for complete packages. In these diagrams, we show, of course, all the pieces of equipment and how they are to be installed and connected to one another. As you can see here, let me just make sure it's visible. Okay. You've got the piece of equipment, in this case the microphone, and then the cable. We illustrate what type of cable. This is the name of the cable. And of course it's got a number. It depends also on how many of those cables you've got. And just to show you how we do it, when we do the pre-wiring service before sending out the complete package to our customer, we would make sure, hope you can see that the cable has its own number as well as the type that's indicated in the diagram that I've just showed you, so that the client will be able to install it by himself. This is another type of cable. As you can see, the same goes here. It's a different type from the previous one I showed you, and it's got a different number, of course. And just to show you different types of packages, this diagram here is quite, I hope you can see it properly, it's quite more complex compared to the one I showed you earlier. So, of course, the numbering and definition of each cable will become much more relevant. Let me show that to you digitally, which is perhaps a bit better. Right. So that's the diagram, as I showed you. As you can see, it's got the different pieces of equipment, all the cables that connect them, numbered and labeled. So the mixer, as I mentioned, is normally the heart. That's everything is basically plugged into the mixer, as you can see here. It's at the center, and all the different types of equipment and their cables point at the mixer. So this is just to give you an idea of what the pre-wiring service that we do means and what it's for. As you can see, the names of the cables and the numbers. It's a bit clearer perhaps for you to see from here. Right, so we've showed you the different types of equipment that you need in a radio studio. We've showed you some diagrams and how things are normally installed. Hopefully that's been helpful to you. If you have any questions, please contact us, write to us, call us. We're always available on social platforms too. All of them, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. So do reach out to us. We're Teko Broadcast. Our website is tekobroadcast.com. We're going to produce many more videos, and we'll ultimately go into detail with every product, and we're looking forward to showing you all there is to know. We hope you have enjoyed the video, and we'll see you at our next broadcast talk.